The Attorney General usually has a wish list legislative agenda. What measures would you like to see the lawmakers add or subtract?
The first thing that I will seek from the legislature is a mandate pursuant to the recent National Congress Financial Services Regulation, which will deputize state attorneys general to be enforcement officers, in effect, against mortgage fraud, against bad practices by mortgage brokers and banks and other lending institutions. As I mentioned earlier in my remarks, what got us, one of the many things, where there's a failure on Wall Street, there was a failure on the investment grading services, but one of the failures was a failure to police mortgage fraud. And the result was the subprime mortgage mess that produced a real estate bubble that led to the near collapse of our economy and led to the extraordinary economic circumstances we now face. Part of the problem was that enforcement was mostly federalized. State law enforcement officials didn't have any power. The new law changes that, and I will seek enabling legislation from the Connecticut legislature so that the Attorney General's office can play a more active role in protecting consumers against mortgage fraud and predatory lending practices.
Yeah, I really have no plan to introduce legislation at this point. I frankly think our legislature, which is supposed to be part-time, is a little too active on the legislative front and is often rearranging the deck chairs while the Titanic sinks. So I will be very vigorously involved with advising the legislature quietly when I think that they're about to enact laws that are unconstitutional or truly job-killing proposals. I would like to see actually a couple of changes. One would be for the legislature to try to open up competition in health insurance. I think that benefits consumers, and other laws of that type that lead to greater competition. I would also, based on personal experience with environmental cases, like to see a statute of limitations imposed on the state. I represented a family that were sued 8 years after the fact for environmental harm they didn't cause. It was a very serious situation, and I eventually shamed the state assistant attorney general into dropping the case and doing all the legal work himself so that the clients weren't billed. But in general, I see the role of the Attorney General as being a block against unconstitutional measures by the state legislature.
Mark?